Hot tub, yeah. Showers were cold. Yeah, that's what happens.
Serena Winters Valley Sports. Coach, when you look back at Evans' last game against Charlotte, what he was able to do on both ends of the floor, in what ways was his versatility kind of a blueprint for where you think he can go, where he can get to?
I think, you know, on top of and what stood out in my mind more than the things he did, it was the way that he did it. He was dominant on both ends of the floor. I don't know off the top of my mind a game, where he was as forceful, in the way that he was playing. Like he was making sure, and there was a determination that no matter who was in front of him or around him, he was going to get it done. Like you think about that offensive rebound where he kicked it out to Darius for the three, like he was not going to be denied. And I thought he played that way, all night. And, the skills, the talent, all those things, the numbers, I think were there, but it was why they were there that I was most impressive with.
In terms of rotations, you've always talked about how you base rotations off of guys' strengths and trying to get the most out of them. In what ways do you hope that, Karras, where he's currently at, you get even more out of him and it helps your team?
Well, I think, he's comfortable with the ball in his hands. We know what he's capable of as a scorer. When you just look at that depth and how you get the most impactful minutes for everybody. He's still capable of defending at a high level. So you get that, but then you also get an opportunity for him to be a playmaker, and him have the ball in his hands and get comfortable there as well. And I think, the thinking behind it is it's a 48-minute game, right? And if we allow him to find a rhythm with that second group with either Darius or Donovan, he's still capable of playing at the end of the game with that group as well. But now he's got a rhythm. He's got plenty of touches. He's got his confidence. So I think, we're trying to figure out the best 48 minutes that we can put together.
Tom Withers, AP. JB, is Kevin going to need a couple of days to get that thing?
Yeah, we'll see. He will not play tonight. I think, again, he went through some stuff and he'll go through some more. But he, I don't think he'll be out long, to be honest with you.
When you dissected the fourth quarter the other night, did you guys miss opportunity? You didn't play with the pace probably that you needed to. Did you guys miss opportunities to run a little bit to kind of keep?
I'm not, pace is not really our thing, to be honest with you. We're at our best when we control the tempo because it allows us to set our defense, and we're confident in the guys that we have, who can play in the half court. I thought we made mistakes, on both ends of the floor. Like there was turnovers that we made. There were switches that we made where we made mistakes and gave up wide open threes. So those are things I think that we can be better at, and again, but when it's either Darius or Donovan, right, they're both comfortable with the ball just being in their hand. What they're working on now, and again, it's, their credit is how do they blend themselves together in those moments? Like there was some turnovers being made where they were trying to get the ball to each other. You know what I mean? So it's like if one of them is out there, they're fine, and that's what they're used to. But again, for this team to be as good as we possibly can be, we need to force defenses to have to defend both of those guys and their teammates. And I think that's where we're growing. And again, when you had leads in fourth quarters like we've had, you go back and watch them, and that's what it is. It's guys trying to figure each other out. But again, it's, that unselfish nature where it's not just one guy like, I'm just going to do it by myself. And that's where you have that learning curve, and that's where you have your stumbles. And hopefully, and I'm sure we'll just get better at it the more time they have together.
Coach, obviously your backcourt's off to a great start, but they're a new group together. I'm just curious about the chemistry and the process of really blending together.
I think it's been really good, right, for 3.5 quarters. And that's where we're learning, like when the game is different in the fourth quarter, that's where we have to figure out, what sets they run. And I'm still learning Donovan, at the end of game, what his strengths are, where he's comfortable, what he likes to do, and his teammates are as well. So, we know their talent, like the other night, it's combined like 75 points or whatever it was. We know what they're capable of. We just have to make sure that we're putting them in the right spots, and then the teammates around them know how to help them and where they need to be as well.
Chris Fedor, Cleveland.com. Hey, JP.
What's up, Chris?
The starting lineup that you used the other night against Charlotte had played 0 combined minutes in every other game this year. How did you land on that? Like, what was it about that group that you thought
Just
could
do
work?
this shit on the wall.
Clearly.
Yeah. No, it was. No, it was. It's again. I think the 4 pieces have been pretty sturdy and consistent in our mind. Trying to figure out that next piece, where again we can put together the best groups for the entire game, is where we're a work in progress. The thought process is Lamar has played really well in the minutes that he's been given. He gives you an opportunity defensively to be bigger, more physical, a little bit in the likeness of our switchable partners with our 3-5 type of stuff, where we've had some success and been comfortable. And to have, more size around Darius and Donovan, a guy who knows how to play off the basketball as well. Like you see him getting cuts for dunks and understanding his spacing and those things. So, that's where we were with it. Obviously, Dean comes back. Like there's, different conversations that we'll have until we find that right exact piece. But Lamar's, earned it with his play. And, for us, it's not always about the start. You know what I mean? It's about how we progress through the game.
Kelsey for the Athletic. Jamie, what were those conversations with Karras though when you guys discussed this and everything, and you had talked about his adaptability and how do you see this as an example of that?
I mean, it was an easy conversation because Karras is easy to talk to, and again, his willingness to do whatever to help the team. And he reiterated to me that he just was all in. That literally came out of his mouth, and it was like, whatever you need me to do to help the team win and be better, that's what I want to do. He is more comfortable with the ball in his hand, right? He was sacrificing a ton, playing that kind of third position with those 2 guards. And then obviously we throw it to Evan and, JA. So, his strength needs to be a rhythm that happens through the game. And it's unfair to him to not allow him to catch a rhythm and then be on the floor at end of games when we need him. And now he has no rhythm. And when the ball does find him, he's disjointed. So, it's a combination again of doing what's best for him. But when that's our finishing lineup, he's got a rhythm and he feels comfortable and he's touched the ball and got a little bit and has had an impact. So that's what we're looking for. And again, will it happen overnight? No, but we'll continue to work at it and we think it'll work.
What does that say though, like about just his personality, willingness to do what is necessary for the team? That is his mentality, and he is all in, like you said.
It's a bigger picture thing than just that one moment, right? This is a place that people want to be, and we have guys that want to be here. And I think that's something that we've had to grow into. That wasn't always the case. It was some fights and scraps to get people, to want to be a part of this. But the guys that we have here now, all of them want to be here, and all of them are willing to do whatever it takes to stay here and help here. That's a credit to those guys individually because they're willing to take different roles and assume different positions. Karras is, example one of that. Like his willingness to take a step back just to be a part of this group, speaks volumes about his character. But it's the group of guys that are in that locker room. Like they genuinely want to be together and play together and grow together and create something special together. So, he's an example, but there's a locker room full of those guys as well.
Danny Cunningham, ESPN Cleveland. JB, how did the fracture in Kevin's hand occur?
It was a loose ball. He was going for a ball this way. The opponent was coming for it that way. And as he went to go receive it, the ball jammed into the tip of his finger. You ask Kevin, he'll tell you, I still came up with the ball. But, that's kind of how it happened. And, again, I would expect Kevin to be back sooner than later.
And then how does a dominant performance like Evan have on Friday night kind of be a stepping stone for him to realize just how good he can be if he doesn't already?
Well, yeah, and you think about this just as a basketball fan, right? Like, you think about the challenges that have presented the greatest players in our game over time, right? Like, everybody knows who that guy is, and that night you're getting whoever your opponent's best shot. So just how hard it is to reach that level, like, you have to think about that and respect that, right, from those guys that have been able to do it. We believe in Evan's ability to be able to do that. That's how highly we think of him. For him, like, the more and more he proves to himself what he can do, the next night is even easier for him to do it again. He's got a high level of confidence, but it's the actual go out and do it, is when the light clicks that this is what I'm capable of. And then you do it again tomorrow, and then you do it again. And then, that's how you put yourself in that conversation of the elite. But, that takes time for everybody, and there's bumps along the road for everybody. But we believe in Evan, that he'll continue to progress even as this year goes on, and then over his career. I mean, you guys know how we feel about that.
John Runner, SI Media Group. As Darius and Donovan continue to kind of figure out that chemistry as you're closing games out, you said neither of them were selfish. Would that make this process maybe easier if one of them were selfish, or are you trying to maybe coax a little selfishness out of that, or do you prefer kind of
No, I think it would make it worse, because if you have selfish guys, then your chemistry is going to be jacked up, right? So, you may win some early, but you'll lose over the long term. And this isn't something that we see as a, 2-month or a 1-year thing. Like, our expectation is that these guys are going to carry us long into the future, into, the heights that we're trying to achieve. They're going to be our backcourt for it. So, I'd much rather have the unselfish guys, because their teammates are going to enjoy them more. Character plus talent, you typically overachieve and win at a high level. You've got low character and talent, you'll underachieve. So I would throw that selfishness in the low character bucket.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Yep.